It's time to preview the NFC West as we continue with our divisional breakdowns. My name is Harrison Graham. 49ers, Rams, Seahawks, and Cardinals. That is who we are talking about today. If you have a thought on who's going to win the NFC West, let us know down in the comments section below. Let's start with the team that won it last year and was oh so close to winning the Super Bowl as they lost to the Chiefs in overtime. And the question everybody wants to know is this the year? Is this the year the San Francisco 49ers not only win the division, not only win the NFC, but ultimately get that Lombardi trophy? Because they've been knocking on the door. 2019, they have a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter, can't seal the deal against Kansas City. 2021, get to an NFC championship game. 2022, get to another NFC championship game. Brock Purdy gets hurt. They lose to Philadelphia. Last year, they get back to the Super Bowl, have a 10-0 lead early, have a lead in the fourth quarter, can't seal the deal, lose in overtime, and you kind of feel like it's got to happen soon. Now, business first, and part of that's been taken care of. Brandon Aiyuk, he is back into the fold. 4 years, $120 million extension, gets $76 million guaranteed after a very dramatic offseason in which he was, using social media and setting meetings with John Lynch seemingly every other day. Ultimately, he signed the deal, and he is back in the fold, and hopefully he comes in with the right mindset because they need him, and Brock Purdy needs him for this offense to be full throttle. Obviously, next needs to be Trent Williams. They need to get Williams in camp. Even if he misses week one or whatever, I'm not that concerned about that, but they cannot get where they want to go without Trent Williams. You look at the rest of this offensive line, it's not that great. So if San Francisco, for some reason, doesn't have Trent Williams, I think it's a bottom 5 unit in the NFL. I think this offensive line kind of stinks, if we're being completely honest. So Trent Williams has the Niners by the balls. Like, the Aiyuk situation was like they wanted Aiyuk, they wanted to keep Aiyuk, but they weren't going to change their number too much because he didn't have as much leverage. They have other big-time playmakers. Trent Williams, he's 36. He's made a lot of money. The market has exploded. He wants more money. The offensive line sucks without him. So you got to get him taken care of. And assuming you do, and depending on when you're watching this, maybe Trent Williams already has been extended. But it kind of does feel like it's now or never. A guy like Trent Williams getting up there. George Kittle. Deebo Samuel's not super old, but he's got a lot of mileage. And he could be gone after this year based on his contract and having paid Brandon Aiyuk. The Niners are going to have to pay Brock Purdy soon, which means other expensive contracts that have kicked in. It makes it tougher to keep certain guys. So the window's not shut, but going into a season, it feels like this is their best chance. 2019, they were kind of ahead of their skis. Jimmy Garoppolo's not a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Last year, they obviously easily could have won it. But if everyone's healthy this year, another year older for Brock Purdy, he should only continue to improve. This feels like their best chance. But if they don't do it this year and you pay Brock and you have to all these other contracts start to kick in like Aiyuk, etc., it just gets harder. It gets harder once you pay your quarterback, once these other high-paid guys get older. So it feels like in a lot of ways it could be now or never. And look, I still think despite the dramatics, despite the chaos this offseason, if healthy, this is the team to beat in the NFC. Doesn't mean they're going to win the NFC. Doesn't even mean they're going to win the NFC West. But they are the team to beat. Make no mistake about it. They've been through these contract dramas before, and they've come out on the other side. So hopefully for their sake, the chaos is over, and they handle Trent Williams, and they get ready to play ball because the games get going very quickly here. Are we sleeping on the LA Rams as a potential contender to win this division and, quite frankly, be a threat in the NFC? It's been pretty quiet for Sean McVay's group, which I think quiet's good. It's been chaotic around San Francisco. Rams kind of just quietly going about their business. And listen, when you have Sean McVay and Matt Stafford, who's still him, as the kids say, you got a shot because it's one of the best quarterback head coach duos in the NFL. How do I know that? Because the first year they teamed up, they won a Super Bowl. I mean, that kind of speaks for itself. Last year, they bounced back nicely. Stafford got healthy. They finished the year strong, almost beat Detroit on the road in a playoff game. Detroit was very close to going to the Super Bowl. So the Rams feel like they're in that top tier in the NFC if healthy. Now, I think their roster is a little bit thinner than some of these other teams. They're a little more top-heavy, so they need key guys to stay healthy. And obviously, Aaron Donald's a big loss. I mean, there's no question about it. He wasn't peak Aaron Donald anymore, but he was still one of the premier defensive players in the NFL. You don't just replace him with one guy. That being said, I like what the Rams did in the draft. They drafted not only Jared Verts, but his teammate Braden Fisk as well. Two guys that are probably going to start on that defensive line. So can that group, as a group, help replace what Aaron Donald did individually? Hopefully. I mean, that's what they're hoping for, right? And I think also offensively, you need your two guys, your two weapons to stay healthy. Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. Nacua entering year 2, you wouldn't think that would be a major issue given his young age, who was unbelievable as a rookie. You're banking on him having another big year this year. Cooper Kupp has had some injury troubles the last couple years, but when he's healthy, I still think he's a top 15 receiver. If they could both go, that's one of the best duos in the NFL. Tyler Higbee is out to start the season, but once he's healthy, a really good tight end. I like Kyron Williams at running back, who's kind of bizarrely going to return punts for them this year. I'm not sure what to make of that, but he's obviously a weapon as well. I feel good about the Rams. Again, they're a little top-heavy. Like, if they have a couple of notable injuries, like Stafford misses more than a game or two at a time, that's a concern. Their backup QB situation stinks with Garoppolo and Stetson Bennett. But if he's healthy, if Kupp's healthy, this offense is going to be lethal. They're going to be able to run the ball with Kyron Williams. We know Sean McVay wants to be balanced. And I felt like by the end of last year, they felt like a very dangerous team. If they beat Detroit, which they very easily could have in that wild card matchup, they might have gone to the NFC Championship game. They really, really could have. So I'm bullish on the Rams this year. Stay tuned to the end of the video. I'll let you know who I have winning this division. But they're dangerous. Make no mistake about it. Does anybody know out there what exactly the Seahawks are? Because I can't quite figure it out. And part of that is when you have a first-year head coach, there's just a lot of unknown. But in this case, Mike MacDonald is not taking over a team like Dave Canales in Carolina. Like, Seattle has pieces. So they feel like one of the big unknowns in the NFL entering this year. Like, I'd say there's 3 to 5 of these teams every year where you're like, they could win 10 games, they could win 5 games. I don't know. They're somewhere in that range. I really, really think so. And I like Mike MacDonald a lot. What he did for that Ravens defense, that's always been good, but were dominant last year. I mean, that's why I keep going back to Baltimore. Like, what a missed opportunity. You hold Mahomes and the Chiefs to 17 points at home, and Lamar and Todd Monken can't get you over the top. They leave you hanging. I mean, that's just an all-time missed opportunity, but MacDonald is a terrific young coach. Now, I prefer offensive head coaches, but I think this is a situation where he's worthy of being a head coach, clearly. Taking over for Pete Carroll, it was time to move on from him. And, you know, the defense hasn't been great in Seattle in recent years, so I think the thought is MacDonald can help bridge that gap a little bit while they start adding defensive talent over the next couple of years. A lot of eyes on Geno Smith. Great first year a couple of years ago. Was not bad last year, but certainly took a step back in 2023 this year. So can he bounce back? He needs to be the guy moving forward because he's got one more year left on his deal after this year. And John Schneider's been sniffing around for a quarterback. They were interested in Anthony Richardson a couple years ago. A lot of reports that they were interested in Michael Penix last year, keeping the product local. He obviously went before they picked at 16 to Atlanta. I do like the fit with Ryan Grubb, Penix's college offensive coordinator. They're going to spread it out and air it out, I would guess, quite a bit. It's what he did at Washington. Now, they're not going to run just pure air raid or something like that. But they should run a lot of 3-4 wide receiver sets, especially threes, because you got 3 really good ones. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. I thought last year they didn't do a good enough job of maximizing those 3 weapons. So now you get Grubb in there, who did a lot of that in college. And you looked at Washington's offense a year ago with Rome Odunze, Jalen Polk, and Jalen McMillan. All 3 of those guys were effective, and they all played with each other. So you would think this trio of receivers in this offense, should have a chance to be pretty successful. All that being said, kind of feels like a transition year. Like Seattle's got to find their identity with MacDonald. I got to think he's going to want to bring some defensive culture back into this team. And I don't know if they have the pieces to be great on that side of the ball yet. So we'll see. I think they could be in the wild card hunt like they have the last couple of years. But it also wouldn't shock me if they took a step back for a year and then kind of reloaded for 2025. Critical year for Geno Smith and his future in Seattle, because there's a very real scenario where in 25 they draft a quarterback and they turn the page here. How about the competitive Cardinals? Cardiac Cardinals last year. I was impressed by what they did a year ago. Not by their win-loss record, but most people thought they were going to be the worst team in the league. Jonathan Gannon, that hire was kind of viewed as a joke. And once Kyler got healthy, second half of the year, coming off the ACL, they played better. He finished strong. They won 3 of their final 5 games. And I think in that building, they would tell you, yeah, we think we can compete this year. And when Kyler's healthy, you should feel that way because you've paid him top dollar to be a franchise quarterback. When healthy, he's one of the more dynamic players in the league. And the last couple of years have been hampered by injury because he tore his ACL 2 seasons ago, which cost him the second half of that year, missed the first half of last year, finished last year strong, especially in December, which was really nice to see. And now he enters the season fully healthy for the first time in a while, in a couple of years. So that'll be good. And he's got a big-time weapon now in Marvin Harrison Jr. Remember when he had DeAndre Hopkins as a number 1? They won 11 games and went to the playoffs the last time he had a true number 1. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. can be a number 1 receiver in this league right away. I really think that is very much on the table. So I'm excited about that. I think Michael Wilson's a good player. I thought he emerged as a receiver last year. Greg Dortch gives them some speed, and James Conner's a solid back. He still runs the football effectively. And I kind of alluded to this off the top, but give Gannon credit. I mean, some of the clips that emerge, you're just like, what is this guy doing? He does not feel like a head coach, but you watched them all last year. Remember early in the year with Josh Dobbs, they're like scrappy as hell. They beat Dallas in week 2 or week 3, and they came down to the wire with a bunch of teams. They eventually kind of, stopped playing above their skis and ended up trading Dobbs to Minnesota and, lost for a while. But then Kyler got healthy and they strung some games together late in the year. I don't think this is a playoff team, but could they enter December with a shot to be a wild card team? I think that's possible. I really do. I mean, other than San Francisco, the other teams in this division have question marks. The NFC, there's a lot of good teams, but not a lot of these teams are awesome. So why can't Arizona be in the mix? I think they're probably built better for 2025 and beyond. But, again, I think they view this year as an opportunity like, hey, if a couple things bounce our way, maybe we sneak to 9 and 8 and battle for the 7th seed. I don't think that's out of the table, out of the realm of possibility. So my predictions for the whole division, I think the Niners win it again. I thought about going with the Rams just given the dramatics, but getting Aiyuk handled I think was big. I do think the Rams are a wild card team, very possibly the number 5 seed. I think they win double-digit games. I think Arizona's probably like an 8-win team. I think they'll be in the mix late in the year, but they won't quite get over the hump. And I think Seattle's kind of the take-a-step-back team. Like, they've been overachieving a little bit the last couple of years with Geno. New coach. This thing could go in a new direction quickly. So they could be like a 7-6 win team that's still competitive, but they need to find their identity a little bit. I think that's very much on the table for Seattle to kind of take a step back. Let's go get a new quarterback, and then in 25, they retool and compete in the division once again. All right, there you have it. My NFC West division preview and predictions for you guys here on Verts. My name is Harrison Graham. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Couple more divisions to go, and NFL season's almost here, baby. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Be sure to check us out. Check out our college football content as well, as week 1 has been very entertaining, and we'll continue to pump out content. See you guys soon. Peace.